Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is my feature author of the month of April, award winning and best selling author, no other than Miss Marcy Pusey.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Welcome back, Miss Marcy. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. So, I am an author of about 22 books and counting. I think all of my books have been award winning, many of them best selling. I've also had the privilege of giving two TEDx talks, and one of them specifically on story and the brain. I focused it on children, but on just story in the brain. And as a result of all that I've experienced, I now help other writers become published authors as well. So it's my mission and passion, and I even say calling, to help amplify other voices and get them into the world through books. So I do that through my business, Miramare Ponte Press.
Miss Marcy Pusey, thank you so much for sharing your award winning and best selling novels or books. What was the first moment you realized your work was resonating on a large scale?
Mm. Um, First, before I was publishing books, I was blogging and writing online articles and that kind of thing. And I remember getting feedback from people in the comments sections, or there was a husband that reached out to me at one point and said, "Thank you for what you do. My wife reads everything that you write and is so encouraged by it, and I'm just so grateful that you're writing." And that was the moment that comes to mind where I realized, oh, people are actually reading what I write. Because, you put things out on the internet and you don't really, it just feels like out into a big open space. And so to hear that someone was enjoying it and it was a highlight of their day was probably one of those
Awesome.
earliest moments. Yeah.
For sure. Awesome to hear. Inspirational. And how did it feel to receive your first major award as an author?
So validating,
Valid.
especially because a lot of my books in these last years I have independently published. And so I go through editors and I get reviews from readers, which are so helpful because it lets me know if the book is resonating, as you
Mm,
said. But when a book goes before an objective sort of jury of judges who are reading all of the books that have been nominated and choosing mine to be the winner in a particular category or subject, it's not my family. They're not my friends, right? They're an objective
yes,
person. And so it's just a really validating experience that someone else sees the value and quality of my work and wants to recognize that with an award. And so it's great.
truly a validation. And congratulations,
Thank
Miss
you.
Marcy PG. We're looking for more and more and more award winning piece.
Thank you.
So, how does being a best selling author actually mean to you beyond the title?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think in the industry of authors and publishers, it can mean something different for each person and for the reader. So in my case, it means that my book is selling more than any other book in its particular category, and that category has more than 100 books in it. And so it tells me that people are buying my book, which is wonderful. And sometimes people will use strategies to hit that bestseller, especially on Amazon. And so I think awards in some ways mean more to me because there's less strategy. Like I'm just a judge is looking at it, right? But
Yes.
at this point, when my books are already launched, like parenting children of trauma that you have there, the last few days that one's been bestseller, and now it's kind of going back and forth between the number one and number two spot
Deal.
in one of its categories. But yeah, it's just it all it means to me is that people are buying my book and they're buying more of it than the other books in that category. But it doesn't mean that an author is making millions of dollars, right? If other books just aren't selling in that category and mine is selling 2 books and that's more than every other book, then it's best selling. So it's kind of nuanced in that it indicates that my book is selling, but it doesn't indicate for how much I'm making on it.
For sure. So, which recognition has meant the most to you so far and why?
Which recommendation?
Recognition.
Oh, recognition. You know what?
Yes.
This the oh, that's really great. Okay, so I just got awarded Speaker of the Year
Yes.
by Excellence Awards in the category of trauma and recovery. And I didn't nominate myself for that award. I don't even know how I got onto their radar. And so maybe that makes it more meaningful in some ways because I didn't even nominate myself, but I was recognized. And so that isn't book related per se. However, the books have really been what opened opportunities for me to speak. And so for me to be able to be recognized and have that level of honor really and privilege, I think in part is because I've gotten my books out there, people get to know me and then they invite me to come speak. So that one has been really significant. And then gosh, you know what? And then any of my books.
Hmm.
So I can't say, oh, this is the greatest recognition because anytime one of my book babies is recognized as being good and high quality and something people want is such a gift to me to know that that's the experience people are having with it. So I know that's an unclear answer, but it's hard to choose. They've all been wonderful.
So, did you ever imagine your writing would achieve this level of success?
No, no. We
Why?
dream.
Dream big, as they say,
Yeah,
yes. It
yeah,
materialized.
yeah. I mean, I think when I was very young, I talk about this in one of my TEDx talks that I had an experience where I got to write a persuasive essay for the Boys and Girls Club
Mm-hmm.
on why I should win circus tickets. And I won. I won the circus tickets out of all the kids
Wow.
who submitted their essays. And I came from a very impoverished family. So the circus might as well have been a cruise to the Bahamas. I mean, it was just we didn't get to do those kinds of things. And so it was an early moment for me where I realized that my pen and my ability to communicate in my writing at like 7 or 8, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
could give my family such a gift like that. And then, but at that time, authors couldn't just put their books into the world. There's one path and you had to take that one path. And so I didn't think that I would be good enough for that. And I became a therapist instead, which is really wonderful. I mean, I love what I've learned about trauma and resilience and the ways that I can help people therapeutically. But then the industry changed and it opened the door to more voices. And even though I had some early publishing contracts with smaller traditional publishers, I've had far more success with my books publishing them independently. I own the creative control and the timing and all of that. And so it really took the industry opening up and changing for me to be able to have the impact I've had. And that just didn't exist for many years of my life as even a possibility. So, yeah, I think I didn't know how to dream big because we didn't know what was coming in the way of how publishing would look today.
So, Miss Marcy, let's talk about behind the scenes of
Yeah.
your writing. What was the hardest part of your journey to becoming a best-selling author?
The hardest part of my journey was hitting publish. Right? Like
Yes.
I I write naturally. I write. It's something that comes easy to me. It's how I process my world and my life. It's how I think. A lot of writing feels good. But when it comes to hitting publish, that's the moment that you are about to let the whole world see what you've written and leave reviews on what you've written and all of their opinions about you and about what you wrote. And that is terrifying in its own way. And so I had to I had friends who would be really helpful and say, "Have you hit publish yet?" And I would say, "No, not yet. I might
Not
read it
yet.
one more time just to make sure, you know." And they would say, "No, it's time. Go hit publish." So I think that was for me the hardest part was like actually just choosing to make it available to everyone's criticism and impact. Like both happen. People are going to love it and be changed by it. And then there's going to be people out there who don't love it and are going to tell you all the things they think about you and your work. And
True.
so, yeah, I think I just had to really develop a security in myself and in my work that even if some people don't like it, which is going to happen, that if one life is changed or impacted in some way because of what I've written and put out there, then it's worth it for them. I'll take all the criticism if it's worth it for that one person. And then what I've experienced is that it ends up being impactful for far many people, like many, many people. And there's only very few critical, angry voices out there. And so I listen to see
Mm,
if there's something I can learn from them, but I don't
true.
take it personal because I can't. It's teaching me more about them and what they're looking for. Anyway, so yeah,
True.
hidden
That's
published is
true.
the challenge.
So, was there a turning point that changed your career trajectory?
Yes. Yes. So I was exclusively in the traditional publishing industry for 7 years in the
Yes.
children's book publishing industry, which tomorrow is International Children's Book Day.
Oh,
So
wow.
I know we're going to celebrate that tomorrow. But I was at a conference in Europe where I lived, and we had flown over some agents, literary agents from New York. And we all had an opportunity to submit our manuscripts anonymously. Our manuscript, our children's book manuscript, would be read out loud, and the agents would raise their hands where they would have stopped reading it if they were at home in bed going through their slush pile, which is what they call our submissions. And so my book was read aloud, and it got read the most of any other book before a hand went up. And when the hand went up, so this initial book is called Turkules. It's my children's picture book about a Herculean turkey chick who's born with Herculean strength, and he's catastrophic. Like he's learning how to eat and fly and sleep and do all the things, but everything he does is just catastrophic. So this is the story that's getting read out loud. And the agent raises her hand and says, "Well, turkeys don't fly." And so she's like, "This is where I would stop reading." And it was interesting because no one in the room knew it was mine, but other people started to defend my book. Like one woman
Yes.
said, "Actually, wild turkeys do fly." And so this agent starts to get schooled on education around wild turkeys. Um, and then, but she's just like, "Well, whatever, you know, like I don't care. Moving on." But the whole time she was reading our books, she was really grumpy. Like, "I don't even know why I say yes to these things. I don't know why I came. Why do I even do this?" Like, just so rude. And
Yes.
then she says, "But it's okay that you're experiencing me like this in this mood because it's at the end of the day when I've worked for my actual clients that I go through your work when you submit them to me. And this is the mood that I'm in when I'm sitting in my bed." And it was so eye opening for me to realize that you can have a book that other people love and will defend and support, but the people reading our books making decisions about whether children will ever read it are grumpy, mean people, some of them at the end
Some
of the
of
day in their
them.
bed, tired and hating what they're doing, you know? And she was a really well-known, highly sought agent. And then for the rest of that particular event, she kept returning to my book as the example to the other authors for how to write a good, high quality book. But she still did not choose to acquire my book. So I left that conference feeling so disillusioned. Like people loved my story, but this grumpy, angsty, tired, kind of
Agent.
self-important agent didn't want to see the value in it and couldn't, whatever. So then I was like, well, how do you get published? How then will I find the agent who's not grumpy at the end of her day, not tired at the end of his day, whatever it might be, who's willing to see value in the work that's being submitted? And so I kind of threw in the towel for a little bit. Yeah, it's Turkules right there with the turkey on it up a little bit.
This one. Where is it?
Yeah.
Just
They're right there,
the
Turkules. Yeah.
Turculus.
And
Okay.
kids love it. I mean, it's constantly a kid favorite whenever I go to a school or do an author visit. So, so as you can see, I went on to publish it myself. I
Mm.
went around the tradition, but first I had like a um not a midlife crisis, but like a mid writer career crisis where I was like, I've been doing this for 7 years. I'm really good now at what I do. People love my work, but how do you get through these gatekeepers? And so then, while I was processing what to do with the rest of my life, an opportunity to learn how to independently publish crossed my path, but it was for adult nonfiction. But I joined anyway, and I was like, fine, I guess I'm going to write an adult nonfiction. And the book that I wrote as a result of that learning was Reclaiming Hope. I think it might be one
Yes.
of the ones above, for foster and adoptive families, for social workers, for the system, overcoming the challenges of foster and adopting. And it immediately was a bestseller. Like people were so hungry for me to talk, for anyone to talk about the challenges honestly, and specifically for foster families, because usually what all the literature I could find at that time, yeah, right there, Reclaiming Hope, was around social workers, like how
Yes.
exhausting it was for them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what about the foster parents? And I was a social worker and a foster parent. And I was like, foster parenting is way harder. Why isn't there any literature on it? So I wrote, yeah, that
True.
was my first independently published book. It was immediately a bestseller. And a month later, I'm a keynote speaker on a stage speaking to a group of foster families and adoptive families and selling my book. And I recouped my costs, and I was just stunned because just half a year earlier, I'm throwing in the towel after this event in Europe. And now, because I learned how to publish, I'm standing on a stage impacting people in this incredibly unexpected but profound way. My book getting into the hands of families, and people saying to me, I have never felt so seen as your words in that book. I thought I was alone. I thought it was just me, but you validated everything I've been experiencing. And okay, the rest is history.
Yes. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, Miss
Thank you.
Marcy. And it happened for a
Yeah.
reason. So let's talk about the impact and influence. What
Yeah.
kind of responsibility comes with having such a large audience?
All of the responsibility. I constantly talk about stewardship when I'm doing trainings or workshops or coaching with authors. And I especially talk about the brain and how the brain interacts with story, the way it was designed. Like it's a very unique, um, under talked about thing that as we write fiction or nonfiction for adult or for children, it doesn't matter. It activates a part of our brain that um, doesn't get listened to very much in our daily lives. And so when I light that up for people, when I make them aware of the impact we can have on the neurology of another human, it comes with incredible responsibility. And the thing is, it's not new information. If you think of marketing psychology, sellers psychology, the information's out there, right? They use what they understand about the brain to get us to buy things. That's why there are
Yes.
story elements in every ad, right? We're watching someone want something, not be good enough, not have enough or whatever, but la la la, here comes this product and it's everything you need, right? The psychology has been there. It just hasn't been applied so directly for us as authors with our readers, I think, until I started talking about it. I mean, maybe others have, I don't know, but I haven't found it. So I feel like I'm the initial voice in the conversation saying, we have incredible power with our words through our books to have an impact on the neurology of another human. And we have got to be so mindful and intentional and good stewards of our stories for that reason. And so, yeah, that's my answer. We're very, very responsible.
Certainly, Miss Marcy. So, what advice do you give to aspiring authors who look up to your journey?
Start writing. Start writing and don't feel overwhelmed by the whole mountain of publishing. Sometimes someone will start writing and say, yeah, but I don't know how to publish. And they'll get stuck on the writing already because they're afraid of the future unknowns. So I say to start writing and take just the next step. So don't worry about the mountain. Just get to the end of the writing. And then when you feel like you're ready for an editor, like I have a draft, now I think I'm ready for someone to look at it and give me some feedback, then take that next step. Where can you find an editor? I edit. So now you know the next step.
Yes.
You can contact me. Contact Marcy is your next step.
Yes.
And really I could be contact Marcy in any step because again, it's my passion now to really amplify voices and get them into the world. But just taking it one step at a time and doing what you do know next, and then crossing the bridge of the unknown when you get there and making it known. So, right.
You're right now. Stop procrastinating,
Stop
people.
kidding.
Yeah, share your talents to the world.
Yeah.
So, how do you stay grounded in a world of accolades and rankings?
Well, that's a surprising question for me because I think that it's harder for me to stay grounded in a world of criticism and mean people who want to come to conclusions about you based on your book in a
It's
negative
true.
way, right?
True.
So, um, so I appreciate your question. It kind of goes both ways for me, but you're making me think about it uniquely. I think, as we were talking a little bit earlier, I'm a person of faith. I'm Christian, and I believe that God is good and that He loves me and that He puts a calling on my life. And so the awareness of that, the belief in that, reminds me that I'm not here because I'm so amazing. I believe I'm here because God has opened doors for me to be here. He's carried me through hard situations, and now I can share what I've learned through those hard situations with other people. And so that's why I think where I see it as a calling. And I think that grounds me both in the positive and in the critical comments that come up. I have some, I'm going to be mindful about how I talk about it. I have a family member, um, a, um, a former family member who, in retaliation, has gone to my books and either left 1-star ratings or before he was caught was actually leaving reviews. And it would be so easy for me to just feel so discouraged by that or angry by it or whatever I'd want to feel. But because I know my grounding and who I am is
True.
bigger than someone's comment or someone's retaliation, even if they don't know me and they just read it and they don't like it. I get a lot of people who just get upset that I'm a Christian and they read my book. Like, it may just be that. Sometimes they're like, oh no, I found out she's a Christian. Now I hate everything she said. Like, I'll get some of those kinds of comments. But knowing who I am, apart from what anyone thinks or says, is grounding for me, whether it's a critical or a positive statement. So the accolades, the awards, I just feel so honored and grateful because I know
Mm,
myself. I know what a mess
true.
I am, right? I
Yes,
like,
true.
I know
Yes,
me, and I'm just wow. The fact that I could impact anybody with my life is so incredibly such
something
a gift.
else.
Yeah, and then
Thank
likewise,
and thank God, Miss Marcy, you let them go. Let
yes,
it go.
I let it go, let it go. I
Let
do.
it go.
And that's been a journey. I want to be clear that I did not start that way. I mean, I have had to deal with the feelings of people just being, I mean, if they're giving me constructive criticism, that's fine. I want to grow and improve. But, keyboard warriors, people will just say things
True.
um, because they're having a bad day. They're angry. They don't like me, fine, they don't have to like me. But early on, I would have to manage my heart rate and call a friend and feel all the feelings. But I had a really good friend of mine who taught me about windows and mirrors, and
True.
that so often in my life, I thought that everyone, including everyone's reviews, were somehow a mirror reflecting me back to me. So good review, I'm good. Bad review, I'm bad. And it would feel like defining me. And he was like, Marcy, there's like, these are not mirrors, these are windows. These are an opportunity to look through a window into someone else's experience, their worldview, how they operate, and learn about them. And then you get to make a decision with what you want to do with what you've learned. And that was like my whole life flashed before my eyes. Every mirror or everything that I thought had been a mirror my whole life flipped into a window, and I was immediately freed, like just in this really beautiful, powerful way of seeing myself defined by how people interacted with me or didn't interact with me. And so the journey has been one of deep wrestling with my own worth and my value, and being able to separate myself from other people's opinions and thoughts and really ground myself in who I know I am and who God has made me to be. And so now, I don't know, 10 years into publishing, actually 17 years into publishing, but 10 years of independently publishing. When those reviews come along, yeah, sure, my heart still picks up a little and I still take, practice deep breaths, but I'm far more aware that this is saying to me something about the other person than it is about my worth and value. And that has, it just changed my entire life, but also how I respond to when I put my books out there. And so there
Let
you
it
go.
go. So, Miss Marcy, let's talk about the craft itself. Has winning awards or topping chart changed how you approach your writing process?
I keep saying every time you ask a question, I'm like, that's a great question. You're asking great questions. Has it
Thank you.
changed my writing? I mean, I think what's changed my writing process is just by continuing to do it. And then Stephen King says the way to become a great writer is to read and read and read and read and read. And
Yes.
so I do read a ton, but mostly now I'm reading unpublished books that I'm editing or working on getting published. Um, but I think that the practice of the craft of writing is in large part what makes you better, as well as responding to the feedback people do give. Um, my young adult novel has a very honest, truthful, constructive criticism review on it. And I'm reading it and I'm like, yeah, he's right. Yeah, he's right. Like, I know.
Correct.
I tackled the genre because the story wouldn't go away, but it's a very intimidating genre because I love it so much. And this man was like, could see the positive and he could see the gaps and the holes. And so in that case, his feedback can help me be a better writer. He was validating that I knew where the problem, like the problems that I knew were there. He was validating, like, okay, I can see the problems too. We're right. And some people didn't see those as problems and they loved it. And that's wonderful. But I think there's so many opportunities to grow as a writer. And I don't know that the awards have been those opportunities as much. I think they validate that I'm doing something right and good, but it doesn't communicate to me that I've arrived as the best possible writer I can be. And so that's going to continue to come with listening to the constructive feedback, to the positive feedback, and continuing to do it. And I mean, I'm writing for my audience, right? If I were writing for me, I wouldn't hit publish. As soon as I put it out into the world, I'm writing for others. And so those others are going to be the ones to let me know whether I'm serving them well or not with the literature that I'm putting out. And so, yeah, I think it's probably them then who really inspire me to continue to grow and be better, more so than the awards.
So, Miss Marcy, do you feel more freedom or more pressure now that your name carries weight?
You know what? I forget that it does. So I don't feel the pressure.
That's a
I
good
yeah,
thing.
it is. I remember one day, so I don't introduce myself to most people in the world and say like, "Hey, if you Google me, I'm on pages and pages of Google
Okay.
pages." And so I forget that. But one day I was coming out of a work environment and a community that I had lived in for a while, and on a school campus, and one of the teachers came out and he was like, "Marcy, you are famous. I had no idea." He's like, "I Googled you and you're everywhere." And I was like, "Oh, that's so funny." Like, I don't think of it as being famous. And, it's only in my little pocket of the world, if anything. So yeah, again, I just live with myself every day in my life. And I'm a single mom, and that came through some really hard, unexpected, unfortunate circumstances. I've had murders in my family. I've had a panic disorder I've had to navigate. I'm like just out here living my life and living it with me. So when someone's like, wow, you're really well known, or you have all, like, I just forget because I'm living my life and it's so normal feeling.
So for that, Miss Marcy, I'm gonna give you an applause.
Oh, thank you.
You're so awesome.
I
So, what do you believe truly makes a book deserving of wide recognition?
I think a book is deserving of wide recognition if it has served the readers well and in the best possible way. when an author comes to me and they're feeling or even myself in my own writing, they're feeling stuck on what to title the book, writing the book description, the author bio, how to structure the inside of the book. It doesn't matter what the question is. The answer is always, well, what does your reader need from you? Where is your reader in their life experience right now? And again, this is fiction, nonfiction, adult, children, even books that we write, fiction, sure, have an entertainment purpose, but so often we as authors are wrestling with some ideas that we're putting out into the world through our fiction story. And so I want to reach a particular group of people and entertain them in the way they're hoping to be entertained, to give them an escape from the hard realities of our current life and world, to give them another place to go for a bit. And so it's always in service of our reader. And so a book that does that, that is really connecting with people, and people are saying, wow, like in the case of, I've had some authors say, wow, you've really put words to my experience in a way I've never had happen. Okay, that's great. Or I've read books, Brene Brown is one of my favorites. And so when I read her book and I'm like, yeah, oh, you're giving me language. You see me. I'm not alone. This is no, then, and when that's happening for a wide amount of people, then I think it deserves the recognition and readership that it gets. But we have to invest in it to create that kind of product. And we have to care about the people that we're writing for enough to be mindful of what serves them the best, and then to make pivots. Sometimes authors are really committed to their idea, and it may not be the idea that best serves an audience. And so an author then has to wrestle with, well, am I writing for me or am I writing for them? And they get to make that decision, but the result will be based on who they were writing for.
So, what's your secret to staying creatively inspired after so much success?
I continue to pay attention to the world around me, how others are doing, how I'm doing. A lot of my writing, again, whether it's for adult or children or fiction or nonfiction, is a kind of way that I raise my hand and say, does anyone else think about this or want to talk about this or need this in their lives? And so I continue to sort of document and pay attention to what is impacting me emotionally, whether that's a positive emotion or a painful emotion, and then think about how I can share that with others in a way that might impact them as well. So creativity abounds. It's all, the opportunity for it is around us all the time. We have to pull our heads away from the screens and live life a little bit mindfully and paying attention to what's going on in each moment. And that creates a lot of fodder for new creative works.
So, Miss Marcy, before we wrap up our discussion for today or tonight, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, Food 101, in its fifth season, people. Fifth season with Chef Alessandro, one of the specialty chef in one of the five-star hotel in downtown Toronto. Please do listen to our latest episode. We are reading our letter senders all over the world. So please do listen, Food 101, wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Marcy, what would you say to your younger self before the awards and less?
I would say, Marcy, what you're going through matters, what you're living through matters, and one day everything that you're experiencing now will be something that's going to help other people and give them an opportunity to feel like they belong or are accepted or have value and worth in the ways that you didn't know you had then. But one day you're going to know you have it, and you're going to be able to make sure others around you know it too for themselves.
Younger Marcy, keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Miss Marcy Pusey, award-winning and best-selling author, my feature author of the month of April. So can you please invite our listeners to support all your books and upcoming projects?
Yes. So they can go to Amazon. All of my books are there. You can Google Marcy Pusey or go to marcypusey.com. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok helping people get their books out there. And Daniel, I just want to say thank you so much for what you do in bringing authors to your audience. And you're also amplifying voices. And so I'm just so grateful that you would entrust your audience to me for this time and that you're doing the work that you do. So thank you.
Yes, you are most welcome, Miss Marcy, because this podcast is created for you, for all writers and authors all over the world. Yes, people, I support Miss Marcy Pusey because if you support her, more and more and more empowering books to come. So please tune in for our 3 more episodes with Miss Marcy. We're gonna talk about her favorite books. So, Miss Marcy, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Bodycount people, see you
Bye.
soon.